I'm 9 News consumer investigator Steve Staeger. Each day, my job is to save you money and make you smarter. And in 2025, Steve on Your Side hit a pretty significant milestone. We've now returned more than $1 million to viewers at home like you. Sit back, relax, and enjoy some of our favorite stories from this year. And hey, maybe you'll learn how to save a little bit of money along the way.
Our company is You Should. We offer skin protection apparel.
Cheryl McConnell says the foot traffic at DIA makes it worth the high prices she pays to rent some booth space for her small business. Even justifies what she and her husband usually pay for parking to work there.
I park in the garage in the West Terminal.
How much is that?
$35 a day.
It doesn't, however, justify her bill for one day of parking 2 weeks ago.
14 hours.
For 14 hours, they charged me $2,300.
Cheryl says after a long day, she didn't look at the screen when she was checking out that night, just swiped her card.
When I went and logged into my bank account, I was like, oh, $23. I wonder what the special was at DIA that day. And then I grabbed my reading glasses. And I was like, what?
$2,310. The receipt they tracked down says Cheryl's car had been parked there since late June. 94,000 minutes, 65 days. If that sounds frustrating already, wait until you hear what it took to try to sort it out.
Person who was on call, they said that we needed to go through the city of Denver. Called first thing on Tuesday morning. You're going to need to talk to another company, talk to another person. Was not helpful at all. Talk to a supervisor. Will have to be a case. Once the case is decided, then it would be 14 days.
Remember, this is $2,300. How on earth could it take that long?
He asked us if we expected to be bumped to the top of the list, which my husband responded, how big is the list? And he said that that was confidential. They have all the information. I'm sure they're going to make good on it. But why should it be this hard?
In the end, it wasn't. Steve on Your Side asked DIA what happened here. They got us an answer within hours. They said they're refunding Cheryl immediately, said the error was a glitch with their parking system, an unclosed ticket from back in June. And that currently, our review doesn't indicate that this is a widespread issue. Cheryl has a tough time believing that because of what has happened to her husband in a different car.
When he's gone to leave the airport, it has popped up these different amounts. So he started taking screenshots of them.
Screenshots showing $500, even $1,600.
How many other people has this happened to? Like, how much money have they collected that is not valid?
Not a widespread issue, though Cheryl was right to think that she wasn't alone. Just a few weeks later, after he watched our story, Jim Boyd says he parked at DIA for 27 minutes and was charged more than $19,000.
My immediate thought was, oh no, this is just like what I heard on 9 News a month ago.
At Steve on Your Side, one of our #1 tips relates to parking. And our first piece of advice to people is always to dispute a ticket you think you're not responsible for, which is why when the city of Denver ditched its dispute process back in September because of budget cuts, we heard from a lot of people.
I tried to say, I have proof right here. It's very black and white. I could even email it to someone.
Jessica Hoskins says she was in disbelief. She had a receipt that says she paid for her parking a minute before an officer entered her ticket into the computer. An easy dispute, she thought.
So I called the number. They let me know that the day before they had actually shut off the ability to dispute online.
Not so easy after Denver's budget cuts.
I kind of tried to say, this seems like this would be a waste of the judge's time. That was the only option.
Parking court, the only option because Denver shut down its online parking ticket dispute process during budget cuts last month. Parking court.
I think it's unfair, but, life isn't fair.
Is where we met a flabbergasted Peter Heck last week. He got a ticket in front of his house where he pays for a parking permit.
I looked at the ticket license plate number and there was a 0 when my license plate has an O, as in the alphabetical.
Peter tried to argue that in court. Our producer, Anna, listened, as the judge didn't.
She wouldn't look at my registration. She didn't look at the ticket. She just said, you're guilty.
And you had to pay.
And I had to pay $70.
This isn't the first time Peter's dealt with parking tickets. Twice before this, a license plate reader has mistaken his O for a 0.
One time they reduced it, and one time they said, that's a mistake. You don't have to pay it.
But that was before, when Denver's court had a referee of sorts who reviewed disputes and made decisions before a judge had to. Those positions were eliminated last month. Denver's website now says if you want to dispute a ticket, you have to take it to court.
I understand the city's in trouble budget-wise, but it doesn't seem like it's the right place to cut.
You have the ability to pay online, but not to dispute online.
Steve on Your Side asked for data on disputes and found 78% of the 49,000 people who disputed tickets since the beginning of the year either had their tickets thrown out or reduced, meaning the city was on track to throw out or reduce as much as $2 million in parking tickets this year.
And it's only a $35 ticket, but it's on principle. It feels like stealing.
Jessica opted not to take the court date and just paid the money. Peter,
I got to thank you guys at 9 News because they wouldn't have done that without you.
When Steve on Your Side producer Anna Hewson asked the court why a judge ruled against Peter, the judge all of a sudden did an about face, ruling the ticket invalid and ruling Peter deserves a refund.
This seems like a great way to make money.
Yeah, it is, because I would have paid the $70 except for you all. Now, hopefully, I'm getting my $70 back someday.
Now he says he's not taking any more chances.
Well, it's probably illegal, but...
With a message right there on his bumper.
I don't know if the camera reads that or not.
Denver's Department of Transportation and Infrastructure actually announced right after that story that they're going to implement a new dispute process. They say the timeline for that, sometime in 2026. So you'll still have to go to court until then. Welcome back to Steve on Your Side and some of our favorite stories from 2025. We get a lot of tips about parking. This one doesn't involve a ticket. This actually came from neighbors in Green Valley Ranch who said someone in their neighborhood was running a rental car business on their street, taking up all the parking.
We're on a car hunt.
Let's play bingo, or should we call it Turo?
White Toyota Highlander, white Toyota Highlander.
In my hand is a printout of all the cars owned by a neighbor in Green Valley Ranch.
This looks like one of them too.
Cars that he rents on the website Turo, basically an Airbnb for cars instead of houses.
AWU D69, and this one says AWU D69.
Business seems to be growing.
CZC KO5.
Almost as fast as his neighbor's frustration.
It's been going on for a little bit over a year.
Ryan and Karina are among a group of neighbors who contacted Steve on Your Side about this, aggravated about the lack of parking.
Like, people on the street can't park out here.
And the other annoyances involved with having a car rental lot 30 feet from their front door.
It's constant having people from the airport knocking on my door.
Car rental?
Yeah.
2 doors down.
And he keeps adding cars to his fleet.
He normally has at least one vehicle getting dropped off by a tow truck every week.
It wasn't too tough to verify their claims.
Boy, that looks just like that car.
All you have to do is find the list of cars, then use your eyes.
That looks like the same Honda Pilot. Huh. Guess they didn't want to talk.
We try reporting the cars on 311. We've tried reporting it to Turo. We just don't get anything back.
And there may be a reason for that. Denver doesn't have any parking rules for these peer-to-peer car shares, so the main rules of city parking apply. Unless otherwise marked, as long as cars move every 72 hours, they can park where they want. You may be asking, why don't they just talk to their neighbor? The sign on the door might have something to do with it.
Something about we don't call 911, we shoot.
It's the reason we called instead of knocking.
How many cars are you parking out there?
While he didn't want to be recorded, he did tell us he tries to be a good neighbor, moving his fleet to a street away from homes whenever he can. But he can't do that while he's at work, so sometimes they get dropped off and they sit.
4, 5, 6 of those cars.
Perhaps the reason we nearly completed our Turo card when we visited last week.
We're happy for his success, but like we said.
After our story, the neighbors in that neighborhood heard back from Turo, who said that they were going to talk to that operator and make sure that they know the rules about not taking up the parking, especially in front of the houses. The lesson to be taken away from a story like this: when neighbors speak up collectively, things get done. Welcome back to Steve on Your Side. Our next story is the tale of a contractor, a group of neighbors who were left with unfinished work, wondering if the contractor doesn't finish the job and you pay them in full, is that a civil matter or a crime? Here's a story of a man named John and a company that he called Get Her Done. He promised new backyards to all these people. They say the work ain't done.
I went through something that I wouldn't want my worst enemy to go through.
Alicia Torres says John Moreno knocked on the door of her new build at the Ridge in Johnstown in December with an offer.
He gave us like an amazing deal for our backyard. It was going to be $26,000 and he was going to do turf and concrete and rock.
So she and her husband took out a loan, hoping to have a place for a swing set for her toddler and her baby on the way.
Yeah, he did the stamped concrete and then the 2 slabs over there, which you can see the dirt already coming out from underneath.
She says he asked for the final payment, she paid him, then everything stopped.
There was a lot of excuses. He just lost a family member. He's dealing with like his mom having pneumonia.
So this was supposed to be where we had grass out here in the middle.
Down the street, Maddie Kelly hired John to build out her backyard with a special walkway for a very special reason. Her daughter.
She's in a wheelchair sometimes. She struggles to walk. We wanted something to be able to get her to the grass.
Soon, she says, excuses started.
He said his mom had pneumonia.
And work and communication stopped.
This leaves me with a blank backyard, a drain savings account.
Maddie and Alicia called the cops.
Initially, they told me there was nothing that he could do because he had started work in my yard.
He started the project, so nothing we can really do.
So it was a civil matter.
But was it?
Reaching out to you guys was a huge help.
Steve on Your Side found 7 people in the last 4 years who've taken John Moreno to civil court and won.
I've not gotten a dime.
That includes Destiny and Kelsey in another new build community in Severn.
We absolutely have trauma bonded over the experience. That we can thank him for, I guess.
Their backyard projects fizzled with Moreno last summer.
It just feels like we were taken advantage of.
We were taken advantage of.
And it seemed small claims court was their only option.
So I spoke to a police officer about it. He told me that the police wouldn't do anything, that it was a civil matter.
A civil matter?
It's a learning curve, but we're trying to get there.
Michael Deenan is a financial crimes investigator in Broomfield, and he admits some police departments ignore these cases because of their complexity.
And some of these contractor frauds, they are aware that most police agencies, especially if they're smaller, will tell the consumer that it's a civil case, and they take on the laws of averages of that no one is going to report them, or they'll be told it's civil and the consumer will give up.
But you shouldn't give up. The law is actually pretty clear on this. A contractor can only use your money for your project. And if you could prove that you paid for something that you didn't get, or you paid for supplies that were never delivered, the case isn't just civil, it's also criminal.
In the last couple of years, they've gotten more aggressive in prosecuting these cases. They've gotten more aggressive in finding them.
This was going to be concrete the whole time.
How much you pay him?
Almost $10,000 total.
And what'd you get for that?
Wow. A bunch of dirt was moved around. My steps were taken out, so I couldn't use my patio.
3 years ago, Randy, Jerry, and Stanley also hired John Moreno back in 2022 to build their backyards in the Aurora Highlands.
He just stopped showing up.
I sent him a text. His mother died. And then somebody replies a text and said, this is John's mom. His mom died. Now his mom is sending me a text.
They say he didn't get her done there either.
We finally got together and called the police, and of course that's a civil thing. So we escalated, we're like, this is not a civil matter. This is a con artist who does this for a living.
The Adams County DA decided Randy, Stanley, and Jerry's case was a criminal case, pressing felony theft charges against Moreno. Court records show he didn't show up for his trial.
Had they not let him back out on the streets after we had him put away, the people that have been victims since us wouldn't have been victims.
How does this happen? How do you have somebody who has been reported repeatedly over and over and over doing these crimes and has warrants out for his arrest, and he's still out doing this to people?
After we told Alicia and Maddie what we found out, they went back to the police, and prosecutors filed criminal charges against Moreno. That case is still pending in Larimer County. As for the Aurora Highlands case from 2023, Moreno pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 4 years in prison and ordered to pay $38,000 of restitution in that case. What should you take away from this story? If a contractor has taken money from you but hasn't used that money on your project, it is considered theft, which is a criminal matter. We have a saying in the Steve on Your Side office: it shouldn't take Steve on your side to get this done. Some problems are so obvious that there's an obvious solution, but it's often tough to find the person with that solution. It seems appropriate to start a story about Excel mentioning the other Excel.
Oh my gosh, you made a spreadsheet.
I did. And my daughter said, you should put that on Excel. I said, I don't know how to do Excel. This is EDL.
Edie Lindsay put pencil to paper and made her own Excel spreadsheet.
It goes back to 22, and it shows you what kind of electric usage.
And you don't have to pay close attention to figure out where things go wrong.
Flash forward to today.
Yeah, and flash forward to
Holy
this year.
Holy shrimp!
11,000.
Wow, I mean, that's like 10 times what you were using before.
I don't think if you added up the whole year, you'd come up to
No, I don't think you
11,000.
would.
My near use of profanity comes after I saw the difference between her usage in May of 2024 of about 1,000 kilowatt hours to this past May's usage of 11,000 kilowatt hours. Sitting in her balmy 80-degree dining room, something else was clear. Edie doesn't use a lot of power in this house that she's called home for nearly 60 years.
I don't have air conditioning. I'm old. I hardly ever cook.
She says her bills have been strange since last fall.
In September of last year, they told me I needed to have a new meter, and they wanted me to get a smart meter, and I said no.
So they installed a new dumb meter. And for months, Edie says she wasn't getting billed for electricity at all.
No electric usage in January, February, March, no electric usage.
Then she got her first big bill. Excel told her she was just catching up. The rest would be lower. Then another big bill came. And another. She tried calling Excel again a couple of times.
She said she's checking into everything, the meter, the billing. There's no one that I can go back and check with. You just get a different person every time you call.
Weeks have now gone by with no solutions. And in the meantime, she's getting threats that she could be sent to collections.
It's been very frustrating, and I feel like you're not told enough about what your options are, where you can go.
Colorado's Public Utilities Commission is actually monitoring Excel's customer service and billing practices right now after a growing number of complaints. After Steve on Your Side called Excel, they told us Edie's big bills were caused by an error on their end. Incorrect information entered when the new meter was installed. They say they've now entered the right information and will credit her bill to reflect it. And they encourage customers to keep an eye on their bills, perhaps making their own Excel spreadsheet. Here's my quick tip on this one. Never set your utility bills to auto pay. Edie's story is one of many Xcel Energy stories that we've bumped into this year. I've gotten pretty good at deciphering people's Excel bills, but I'll tell you, when Keith sent me his, I had no clue what was going on.
It's like he paid the bill, then he gets billed again, then we skip to October.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
So we do have some gaps.
With pieces missing.
Hold on, I'm missing a bill.
I've spent way too much time staring at Keith Axmaker's bills, trying to make sense of them.
Could be one digit off or something.
I'll let him explain how we got there.
My nerves are shot. I haven't slept good in a couple months.
Keith has lived in this house in Parker for nearly 20 years. He pays Excel for gas.
During the summer, it's usually just a water heater, and it runs maybe $20 a month. Except this year, it's been running around $70.
May of this year, $76.
That was odd, but not so odd it stood out.
It was $70 after we turned the furnace off, and the same thing the next month.
The odd thing happened in July.
The July bill was $4,360.
Whoa! Are you having natural gas parties inside this house?
Yeah, you'd think so. Yeah, even though it's summer, we keep the thermostat up to 120. I was just shocked. And I called Excel immediately.
Keith says the guy on the other end of the line was shocked too. Promised he'd get it sorted out. Don't pay it, he said.
I'm assuming he did something for you and fixed it, right?
Wrong.
It says $3,500.
Keith got another bill a few weeks later. This time Excel had credited $800.
That makes no sense.
But billed him for another $800 and never removed that past due balance.
I called again, and I got a lady on the line. She started lecturing me about therms. I don't know therms from Adam, okay? I says, I can't pay this. I don't have that kind of money. She said, well, we have a program, an installment program.
Something's like just...
The bill says he was put on an installment plan, all right, ballooning the total to $5,200, all to be paid...
I don't understand this at all.
...in a single installment.
I don't know what to do. I don't have the money to pay that. Somebody at work said, you need to call this guy on Channel 9. I says, well, who? He says, his name's Steve.
So there's a different meter for these.
Reading through Keith's bills, we found that he was getting billed for 3 different meter numbers over the last 18 months, but his meter only changed once. And almost all of his meter reads were estimates. So we reached out to Excel, who sent Keith a new bill the same day, reducing the total from $5,200 to $214. The new bill still doesn't make much sense either.
I'm not asking for a bunch of money from them. I'm not asking for a big refund from them. I would like an apology.
That does it for this look back at some of our favorite Steve on Your Side stories from the past year. As always, if you have a consumer problem, you can always email us, steveonyourside@9news.com. For consumer producer Anna Houston, I'm Steve Staeger. Steve on Your Side, 9 News.